Welcome to Village in Motion. I'm Clint Lambert, host of today's show, and today we have two of the leaders from the Dining Services Committee with us. First of all, we have Ivan Ives, who is the council liaison to Dining Services, and then we also have Ann
Andrews.
Ann Andrews, excuse me, Ann, I just got with blip up there. Ann Andrews, who is the chair of the Dining Services Committee, and we're just very glad to have both of you with us this morning.
Okay.
Ivan, I'm going to start with you and just ask you, you're the council liaison to the Dining Services Committee, and what does that mean?
That's basically the communication connection that we go to. They work with the committee. Any information that comes from the administration or from the council that would help them in their work, then we work with them. And also, then we take the information back from the meetings and brief the council at different times on what is going on there, the needs that they see, the suggestions that they have. So it's, a lot of it's just communication chain.
So you really are the messenger.
That's about it. Hope they don't shoot the messenger.
There you go.
Well, the advisor.
Yeah, and the advisor, huh, Ann?
Yeah,
Ann, do you rely on Ivan then in regards to that?
very heavily, because he knows what the council wants and what the council thinks, and he has served on this committee before, and he gives me a lot of assistance and advice.
Good. Speaking of the actual council, I mean the committee, you have how many members?
Besides the three of Ivan and me and Jenny Oler, who is the secretary, there are 16 members divided very evenly into three committees.
Oh, okay.
One for each of the three main restaurants.
Okay.
And part of the restaurant's dining manager's responsibility is also the shops and the coffee areas. So and in the case of Jefferson, the bistro, and in the case of Fireside, the cafeteria. And so they're dealing with those areas.
Okay. When you say they're dealing with those areas, what do they do?
Well, the first thing they do is read the comment cards and analyze them.
Okay.
Those comment cards are very important because that's how the dining manager and the chef know what to change and what needs improvement. But it's also how management learns it, and it is the way changes are affected.
Okay. Ivan, do you see those comment cards?
Oh yeah, last year I think I read something like 5,600 comment cards.
Is that all?
That's all. Everybody has an opinion, but they really are helpful to get the view of the needs that are there, the hopes, the desires, the thank yous, because by and large, I would say that overwhelmingly they are positive in many ways, and that otherwise you'd go crazy.
Yes,
but that really is great, especially of the servers. They love the servers and whatnot. So yes,
The
it's
students are-
information that is there, and keeps us aware also of the different kinds of needs. That I'm fortunate, when I go in, I can eat just about anything that doesn't bite back. So but a lot of people can't do that.
Yes, right.
And so we see the restrictions there on eating, and that keeps us aware of those. I know the chefs, sweat blood trying to figure out how do we address these issues at the same time provide the menus and the food for the wider group.
Yeah.
So it's really to have that information, and I hope they keep coming. We enjoy that.
Right.
So.
In regards to that, do we have a dietitian that reviews the menus before or what's going to be served here in independent living?
I'm not sure we have an independent dietitian as such. It's mainly the chefs and whatnot, and they can
And Michael
call
Ritt's
on very
coordination.
yeah, and your executive chef and whatnot. So they can call on different specialties as they need them.
Okay.
So.
With you looking at the comment cards then, do you guys make comments on the comment cards or comments back to the residents? Or
The subcommittees,
Okay.
the three subcommittees, get together and read them and do a report. And before the report's finalized, they meet with the dining room manager and the chef de cuisine for that dining room.
Okay.
And if appropriate, more people. And everybody gets together and does a report, which comes to the overall Dining Services Committee and is given at the Dining Services Committee, so we all hear the three reports.
If I put in a comment card and I just drop it in the box whenever, do I get any feedback?
If there's a particular issue, you might. The dining manager would speak to you about it if there was some real problem.
Okay.
The most feedback is the changes that they would make
Okay.
to take into account what you've raised, assuming you've raised a problem
Right.
that can be addressed.
Okay.
I've seen the same night, because I was the subcommittee chair last year for the Jefferson.
Okay.
The same night you'll get a comment that the vegetables are the green beans are too hard, the green beans are too soft.
Right.
You cannot please everybody all the time.
Yeah.
But the people who are terribly sensitive to tomatoes, I mean, I never realized how sensitive people were
Oh,
to
yes,
tomatoes.
right.
And then I hear from a friend how she didn't sleep a wink last night because of the tomato that was snuck into something. And one time I was eating with people I didn't even know, and they had a concern about tomatoes in the vegetable soup, the creamy vegetable soup. And I went over, and the sous chef was there, and she went and looked up the ingredients and found the vegetable mix packet and found that in it was some tomato powder.
Interesting.
And so the person didn't eat the soup and didn't have a miserable night.
But that's the kind of thing, though, if somebody had not put in a comment card, nobody would ever have pursued it, probably.
Right,
you know,
right.
in regards to that. So
Yeah, but they are very good at tracking it down. They become detectives
Yeah.
to see what causes that. You know, sometimes it takes a long time before you figure out, and it may or may not have been something on the menu. Perhaps a cook added a little extra flavor, and so it came that way rather than what is on the menu itself.
Right.
So they become detectives trying to
Interesting.
figure out.
My experience is, especially with Chef Robina, she takes things out because people are allergic to soy sauce or salt or whatever, and then people are worried about the taste. So she serves everything on the side, so you can have the meat without the thing that you're allergic to.
that's excellent. You know, in regards to that, if there's something that you are allergic to or something that you cannot eat, you need to let the chef know. I mean,
Yes.
and a way of doing that's doing a comment card, right?
Very
Yes.
helpful if they
And-
will
and-
identify that.
Yeah.
Yes, and one friend is allergic, they think, to soy sauce, but took a long time to figure that out. I think Michael Ritt was very helpful with that.
Right. You know, we've been most fortunate having an executive chef that's so active, provides so much input in regards to things. So, Ivan, you take that information off of those comment cards, and after the subcommittee has formulated a summary of everything, and the committee has sanctioned it, and then you bring that information to the council, is that right?
If there are major trends or major items and whatnot, then yes, that needs to go to the council, just so they're aware of it. Usually, the dining service is going to be taking action on it and working with it.
Right.
But just so the council is aware of that and what is the response from the dining services staff.
Okay.
So,
It's important to know that at the monthly meetings of the Dining Services Committee, that the Dining Services Director and the Executive Chef come to all those meetings and interact immediately.
yeah.
Yeah, that's excellent. So the committee and everybody meets together with the chef and the executive chef. Does Eli come to those meetings
Every
also?
time,
yes,
very much so.
Okay.
He is consulting us constantly, in addition to the town hall meeting and the Halloran feedback and the. He's had menu enhancement meetings. He's had many meetings. We're constantly meeting with him, and he's set up a regular schedule to meet with us separately, and he's consulting us and consulting us and consulting us, and working on new menus, especially for the signature menu.
Okay.
Yeah, that lately he's been concentrating on we need to do an update on the signature menu for Fireside and for the Woodland Skies and whatnot. So last week we were over attending about 6 meetings that he had with people that were from there, just saying, what would you like to have on the new menu? Yeah.
So residents really were
and
given
hearing
opportunities.
that, yeah.
And then he gave us, they distribute in all the dining rooms little cards that you're supposed to write on the back what you would like to have.
Yes, yeah.
And he's been overwhelmed.
That's been a great response on that,
Yeah.
because that's the base data that is going to, then they can take that and he can sit down with his chefs and say, okay, what kind of adjustments will we need to make in this, in the new menu? And then from there, the second stage that he speaks of in this whole thing is, okay, now in what kind of training needs does that bring out?
Right.
Are we asking our kitchen staff to prepare different foods? Are they handling it in different ways? How about the serving staff? Will that make a difference in how they operate?
Right.
So we need to spend time training them, getting them ready for that. So that's quite a thing. And you figure with the signature menu, when an order comes in and it appears on that monitor, they have about 15 minutes to prepare that and have it on a plate going out the door.
Wow.
And you're hoping that a server is there to take it.
To deliver it, right.
And the effort to have them all from one table come out at once.
That's about it. So, and if your grill is full, how do you respond to a batch of other things coming in? So that they figure, okay, you've got 12 minutes. If they're ordering a well-done steak, that means that takes about 14 minutes. You've got about 1 minute. And once you get behind, heaven help you. To try to catch up and get going.
But that's the reason they are really working on communication between the hostess stand and the kitchen, right?
Because you're trying to regulate the flow of the people in, so they're not sitting there at the table for a half an hour waiting for somebody to take their order and then come back. So that's the whole thing. How do you regulate that flow of seating so that the kitchen can keep up with it?
So the intent is not to overload the kitchen.
That's the main thing on that.
Not to have blockages in the kitchen.
Right, okay, in regards. Residents now can do kitchen tours again, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And I think they're trying to have that encourage kitchen tours during the meal. You know, it used to be you went when it was in the morning when it was empty. Now they want you to see what it's like when they're operating.
That is a much better picture of it. It is thinking of the servers coming in and they're trying to get your dessert, and how many places in the kitchen do they have to go to, and how many people do they have to go around in order to do that. And we begin to understand why it might take a little while for them to come back out. So that is really a good picture, and we'd like to use that more. Talk with the folk here that maybe we need to make some programs here, and so that the people can see the kitchens in operation.
I think that would be a great idea.
Understand from that.
I think that would be a great idea. To really see everybody working and all the intricacies that go on in that kitchen.
And what does that full monitor look like when the guy is trying to keep up?
Right. So it sounds like you guys have got a task to do.
I think we'll have work to do.
With all the things that you're doing, and now we've got signature dining, and that's been some ups and downs as regards to getting it all started. How are people responding to signature dining?
I think they're ready for a change in menu.
Oh, okay.
Definitely they're bored with the menu. And you know, when we go out to restaurants, this is my particular point, we go to different restaurants for different food.
Right.
We don't go to the same restaurant every night. I go to one of them to get seafood, and I go to another one to get veal or whatever. And so that they do have to have some changes, and that's why, and Eli's trying to find out what people really want on there.
Right.
So,
And we understand, any place that you eat, the majority of the time, sooner or later, is going to get a little old.
Right.
So they need to have some kind of a rotation of the menu that is going on there. And I think the response generally to the signature menu has been good. It's producing some pretty good results.
Okay.
That's the way, if we can get the food cooked to your taste,
Right.
coming back, that should increase your enjoyment of it. Now, there are others that would prefer going to the Jefferson because they would like to see the food first before they decide
Right.
on that. And so that's a different kind of experience. So,
Some people are visual eaters.
yeah, very much so.
In regards to it.
That's about it.
Yeah, but what's nice is we have all the different ways of looking at food.
Right.
We have different preparation, different chefs in each one of the dining rooms, and each one of the dining rooms really is a restaurant in and of itself.
Right.
In
Has
regards,
its own character.
yeah, it really does, and its own clientele. And it's kind of neat that the chefs and the management have been working on identifying what does the different restaurants really have to serve the clientele in regards to it.
Yeah.
So
And they need also some interchange. There are always people saying, "Well, this soup, how come it isn't as good as it is over in that one?" Right. And so they say, "Okay, if there's a particular chef that has found the secret to making particular soup, he can teach the others,
Right.
And we can share
Of course.
this whole thing." So there are ways that we can improve the general experience.
Okay. And
I was just going to say that the problem more now is waiting times and how they're dealing with that. And they're working on the reservation system, which is great for the people who have achieved a reservation.
Right.
But if you don't have a reservation, you're pretty unhappy about it. So they're trying to, excuse me, I'm getting a frog. They're trying to work that out.
oh, okay.
Yeah, that's the reservation system is neat from the standpoint that it provides some kind of predictability to the kitchen,
Right.
so they know. But you're balancing it with the other part. What percentage do you want that are for the people that come in?
The walk-ups.
Walk-up type thing. Because you can't have all from one side or the other.
Right.
And how do we use that reservation system? Is this for larger groups? Is for people that only want 2 people at a table, or how can we best use this? And so, those are some of the ways that we're looking at it.
Oh, okay.
on that.
So the committee is looking at that, discussing it with Eli and
Yeah, the committee and Eli and the dining service management. Our job is to assist dining service management in satisfying the needs, including dietary, of the residents.
Okay.
It's their job to do it. It's
Right.
our job to help them do it.
Yeah.
And so we are, in our meetings and everything, we're trying to help them provide what we as residents want.
So you're really providing input, resident input to what's going on.
We're the same link he is with the council.
Right.
We are between the residents and dining services management.
That's a good way of looking at it.
And
Yeah.
sometimes we're also providing communication the other way. As questions come up, as we're sitting at a table and whatnot, then if you can share the information that you have in order to explain why they're going about things.
Right.
I eat quite frequently at the Jefferson. One of the big things that they really love there are the pasta nights, where they have the stations,
The action stations.
out there and whatnot. And the problem with that is that it's slower. Yeah, you have a couple of places that are preparing individual dishes
Right.
and whatnot. So it's slower, and you start seeing that back up in there. Pretty soon, it's back into the waiting area.
And so
over
people
there.
who are waiting, it takes longer to get in.
Yeah, it takes. So that's one of the factors. And where do you put those stations? You either need to shove some tables closer together or reduce the capacity of the room.
Yeah.
And
One
the
or
very
other.
time you're very popular.
So
Right.
that's some of the trade-offs that they're working with.
And so when you have a real popular dish
Yeah.
and then you have to remove tables, then you've doubled the problem.
But you bring up something very important. The very popular dish, for instance, standing rib roast or whatever.
Okay.
And what they're trying, Eli and trying to do is have this same dish the same night in all 3 places, so that everybody doesn't come
Right.
to one place to have it.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. I would say either the same or comparable type of thing. So,
Right.
Yeah.
they have that. So it's one way that they're trying to work with that system. Yeah. But because they're responding to things. I think we as residents control many of the key items. We decide if we want to eat a meal.
Yeah.
where we want to eat the meal, if we want to eat it in whatever of the restaurants or in our apartment.
Right.
We want to know what time. We decide that. And then if we're eating in a restaurant, once we get in there, and how we eat at different rates.
Right.
And when we're done, how long do we want to chit-chat with our friends before we get up and make that table available for the next folk that come
And they
in?
have to have at least 2 seatings
Right.
in each dining room.
Yeah.
Because they,
Just because of the population.
Yeah.
yes, but they feed over 500 people a night
Right.
in the Jefferson, and they have only a couple hundred seats.
Right, exactly. And so if people sit there a long time, then
That slows
pushes
the
everything
process
back
down,
in
yeah.
regards to it.
So if we could just be aware of that,
Yeah.
when we're finished, there are probably folk out there that are waiting would really be able to appreciate
Right.
to come in.
Yeah.
You know.
You mentioned the fact of the reservation system and people walking up and everything. Do you know what the percentage of reservations to walk-ups are now?
Very, very, very high, especially in Woodland Skies, 90% or something. There's very few available for walk-up in.
Well, okay.
I
Makes
have
sense.
not seen the figures on it. I know they're working with that thing. We know they have to have some kind of split, but still, okay, what is the best split that works for?
Yeah, just to stop you, I have been told it's 70-30 is what I've been told.
It might be.
Yeah.
I think it's higher in Woodland Skies.
Okay. But they are working on looking at it and how they can do it then. Okay. Other issues that dining services the committee addresses or that you address as a liaison?
That I think sometimes for a while the takeout area, you know, how do they communicate to the kitchen? What times, can they do it? They've in the system right now where I said if we can take the takeout orders either just before the main dinner time in that room dining restaurant, or after we finish the main flush, and start about 6:15, something like that. That really helps the production of the kitchen, so they can concentrate on the people that are in that room,
Correct.
and still try to provide people either before or after, and take care of the needs for those who need to take it out.
Yeah. And?
Another issue that Eli is very concerned about is the cafeteria, which has become a restaurant.
Yes.
And he wants to restore it as a cafeteria so people can get in and out more quickly. And he's really quite concerned about that, and we'll be working on that.
Great. Because I used to eat there yesterday. In fact, this week I've eaten lunch every day there. And I mean, they really have the biggest variety of any of the restaurants in regards to things. And with the carving station, every other night, there's another type of venue in regards to that. So.
And as you're coming into that central area, you've got an awful lot going on in a very small area.
Yeah.
So some way to smooth that out.
Right.
So you think they have about 70 chairs or something like that.
Yeah.
And when you're feeding about 300 people, that goes by.
At least half the people they're feeding are carry-out.
Yeah.
So the number is not quite as large as Eli's mentioned, but it is not set up for that.
Right.
And it is providing something unique if it has fast service. Right. And that's what he like to cut down the number of choices and
Well,
make
not only does it have fast service, it's got a variety from the grill to the hot service to sandwiches and salads. I mean,
they don't need to have that many.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like wow.
Yeah, cut that down and turn it into a cafe again. Which basically he uses rule of thumb. Anything that you have there should be able to be prepared within 7 minutes.
Oh, okay.
And move a restaurant, well, you're talking 14, 15 minutes.
Yeah, exactly.
But cafe, that's much quicker.
Wow.
And so how do we set it up to be able to perform its function?
Very good. Well, I'm very pleased to see that now they kind of direct you with the chords, for lack of a better word, of when you first come in, of whether you go to the grill or you go to the fast, the hot service.
Simplified that quite a bit, and where if you order something that's go on the grill, they can hand you a number saying, okay, go relax for a bit and we'll bring it out.
Sure.
Great way to do it.
Yeah, very good way of doing it. Any other issues that you guys are addressing?
I think just keeping up with the different needs in the variety of menus and needs and restrictions. Those are the things we're always trying to keep track of and be sensitive to.
And you had mentioned earlier in regards to the fact of the little cards and writing desires on the back of the cards. Are they going to continue to do that?
I don't know.
Okay.
It just started a few days ago. Eli tells us he's going to give us a summary of it. They've been out of town for 2 days at this big conference, and he'll be getting in touch with us now, and we'll learn more. Okay. But he's working very, very hard at keeping us in the loop.
Yeah, I think those are specifically connected with updating the signature menu. And
But we have
so
them
those will probably be periodic. But you still have your comment cards.
Right.
They're continuing.
And those, they've been having them in the Jefferson too. And of course I made sure to put down the petite filet, which we need, and lobster rolls.
There you go. There you go. Well, I understand they had lobster rolls last night in Woodland Skies.
They did?
Yeah.
Oh, goodness.
Which is one of my pet peeves. That they have these special
Well, they
meals.
advertised that everybody would be there.
Yeah, but they have special meals that nobody knows about it, unless you actually go to the dining room
Yeah,
or to the
that
restaurant.
happens. And then some of the folk think too, for those who are on a restricted diet, is how do we get a continuity between the weekly menu we're looking at, what is actually on the menu when we go down there, and the My Nutrition information that we depend on very heavily. How can we have all of those available? And so he's struggling with that. He said, if you have specials at a restaurant, we may need to have a folder that contains that type of information that people can look at right there and be aware of.
Well, it certainly sounds like you guys have got your work cut out for you, and that you've really been on top of things for all of us as residents, and we greatly appreciate it.
Thank you.
Well, we hope so. That's
Well, thanks for being on today, and keep up the good work if you would, please.
Thank you.
Thank you.